In this lesson, students will explain how to convert fractions to decimals by using long division. So students will explain how to convert, that means how to change fractions to decimals using long division. So we can take any fraction, let's say, 4/5, and I can convert that to a decimal, and the way I do that is I'm going to take my numerator and I'm going to divide it by my denominator. So in order to do that, I can make a division sign, and I put my numerator inside as a dividend, and I use my denominator as a divisor. So if it helps, you might want to label your fraction. So this denominator is a divisor. It does the action of dividing. And this numerator, this is my dividend. It's acted upon. It goes on the inside of the division sign. Now, I asked myself the question, how many times does 5 divide evenly into 4? But unfortunately, in this case, it doesn't. So I'm going to put a 0 to hold my place, and then I add a decimal point to show that I'm talking about a portion of a whole. I add a 0 to hold that place, the tens place, and I say 5 goes into 40. How many times? It happens to go in 8 times, so I put an 8 right here. 8 times 40, or excuse me, 8 times 5 is 40. So I put my 40, I subtract it to see what the remainder is. In this case, the remainder is 0. That lets me know I'm finished. If I come to a remainder with 0, I'm going to label that remainder of 0. That means that my fraction terminates. So this is my decimal terminates. So this is a terminating decimal, because when I divide, it ends in a 0. So my equivalent decimal to 4/5 is equal to 0.8, which is 8/10. Okay, now I might have another type of fraction that is a little more tricky. Let's try 5/8. So here's my 5/8. 5 is my numerator, so that's going to be my dividend. I'm just going to label it so I remember where it goes in under my division sign. And then 8 is my divisor. So now I'm going to set up my long division. So I put 5 inside the division sign and 8 as my divisor. And I ask myself, does 8 divide evenly into 5? Well, no, it doesn't. I hold the place with a 0. I add my decimal point. I add another 0. I ask myself, how many times does 8 go into 50? And I think of a multiple of 8 that's close to 50 but doesn't go over it. And I think, well, 6 times 8 is 48. So I'll put a 6 here. 6 times 8 is 48. And I subtract that. I have a remainder. I have a remainder of 2. 8 doesn't go evenly into 2, so I'm going to bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20, let's see, 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. I have a remainder of 4. Bring down another 0. I'm going to continue this process until either I get a remainder of 0 or I get a repeating pattern. I have the same remainder time and time again. So 8 divides into 40. Let's see, it'll go 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and I have a remainder of 0. That means this is also a terminating decimal. So 5/8 is equal to 0.625 or 625 thousandths. 625 thousandths. That's how I would say that. Okay, I might also try, let's see, maybe 2/3. So I know that 2 is my dividend. It goes under the division sign. It's my numerator, dividend, and 3 is my divisor. So I put 2 under my division sign, and 3 is my divisor. 3 does not divide evenly into 2, so I put a 0 to hold that place, and I add my decimal point. Let's see, 3 can divide into 26 times. 3 times 6 is 18, so I subtract that amount, and I have a remainder of 2. Okay, I'm going to bring down a 0. 3 goes into 26 times. Now look, I'm seeing a pattern develop. I have 2 6s. 6 is repeating. 6 times 3 is 18. I subtract that. And I'm noticing I keep getting that same remainder. That means my decimal is repeating. It's never going to change. And so I would write 0.6 with a bar over it to indicate that my decimal number is a repeating decimal, that there's a pattern of remainders and it will never stop. And that's how I convert fractions to decimals using long division. So 2/3 is equal to 0.6, the 6 is repeating.